Start over.
I'm starting over. Such a hospital corners.
Stop talking over the intro. It's annoying.
Hey, this is a freewheeling.
Yeah, says the person who doesn't edit the show.
You better not edit any of this out.
I'm editing all of this out. I'm starting. Okay, do your Ugg so I can put a
Ugh.
Ugg.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth.
It's one of those episodes.
Do I have to say it? Yep, it's a producer dub episode. Go ahead and fast forward. No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
It's great.
All things are great.
Oh, it's
everything's so good.
Oh,
Just so good.
Ah!
Anyway, is everyone disassociating, or is it just me? I will tell you, I've been drinking alcohol as if this is the holiday season already. So I'm like, okay.
I almost
fine.
bought eggnog today.
Yeah. Like, all right, we'll just start the hibernation process
Might
a little
have to.
early. Who cares? Everything is different.
The four-year hibernation.
So let's just, all the rules are out the window. Nothing is the same. Black, blue, what? Who cares? It's a yellow dress. No one cares.
No one cares.
Literally. Yes, so you and I are doing a show today. You know, shit happens. Life happens. So here you are.
Here I am.
Plus, I think the more we do it,
Yeah.
the better we'll get at actually doing a show. So if we ever wanted to spin off.
So the 12 or 13 years we've been doing this is not enough.
So we could maybe spin off our
yeah.
own.
Yeah.
You never know.
I got a name for it already.
What is it?
I told you.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, jeez.
You've changed it a couple of times.
Empty nexters.
That's right.
Because we're Gen X empty nesters.
Yeah, instead of room for activities.
Although that was hilarious, but it never got off the ground.
Yeah,
well, for
that is a good
two
one.
reasons. One, it was just life, but also we never had any room for activities until
Never.
now. Came up with that name a solid 3 years ago.
I know.
And there was in that entire 3 years, we never actually got to the empty nest phase. There was always somebody here.
I think one of the reasons too is the way because you proposed it as like, hey, we should do this.
Yeah.
And it is a great idea.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're both entrenched in podcasting. So we know that there is a niche for it.
Yeah.
But
So don't steal my idea, you losers.
but the way you proposed it to me, you're like, oh, we should do this. He's like, but it has to be totally different than the Ugly Truth podcast. And I said, well, yes, of course. You're like, for example, I'll be in charge.
I didn't say that.
And I said, all right.
No,
what do you mean? You're like, well, I will handle the board. I will be the facilitator. I'm like, I see now. All right.
Well, I do want to handle the board, but the other stuff, I don't think there's any shot of me being
You're like, I just want it to
in
be
charge.
different. I see. All right. We'll see how well I cooperate.
Like, for example, I would be able to turn off your mic when you talk over the intro.
Okay, first of all, I like talking over the intro.
Nobody can hear you.
So what?
Nobody can hear you.
Who
It
cares?
sounds like you don't know what you're doing.
Okay. You know what?
It's been 13 years. Don't talk over the intro.
I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm going to talk over the intro all the times
All
now.
the times now.
I'm never going to
Hey,
not.
you don't have to say the number anymore. Give me this.
So speaking of podcasts, I was listening to one of my more favorite podcasts of note. I don't listen to any more news podcasts, like at least for now. I'm pausing on world event news, daily, everything. Just I don't have the anxiety level to listen. Anyway, with that being said, there are other ones, and they're all incredibly dark for the most part. It's
Dark podcasts?
yeah, they're like about terrible people or murder.
Yeah, that's normal for
It's
you,
not-
though. That's not new.
Yes,
True
but
crime and stuff, that's not new
But
for
I'm
you.
doubling down. But there's this one that I really like, and it's about medical mysteries.
Yes.
And I really like it. There was one the other day, and I put a note because I'm like, we need to keep this in mind in case this happens to me.
Oh, no.
This woman woke up, and she was a little older than us, but she woke up, very active, vibrant woman, and she woke up, rubbed her eyes, and looked up at the ceiling, and she saw a floating head. Do you remember Hey Arnold and the football head kid? Okay. It kind of looked like that, except it had buck teeth, but it was a legitimate she saw a floating head and it was looking at her. So she got up, obviously, and ran out of the room, went to her kitchen, and it didn't follow her. So she got dressed and she went to her sister's house. And she told her sister, and her sister's like, you need an exorcism. Like, immediately she called the priest.
Okay.
And so the priest was like, okay. So he goes, she doesn't need an exorcism. She needs a doctor. So she goes to the doctor. Ultimately, she is suffering from macular degeneration, which is you're losing your eyesight.
Okay.
And you will eventually be like legally blind. Like you will be blind. But when
if I start to lose my eyesight more than I already have, will I see floating?
No, macular degeneration is an actual like thing. It's not just your eyes are dying. It's you're going to go blind. Anyway, I don't know if you always go blind, so don't quote me on that, but you will.
You're not a doctor, you just play one on the show.
Well, I'm just parroting things.
Sure.
So the doctor was like, aha. He goes, you're not mentally ill and you don't need a priest. You have macular degeneration. And it's an incredibly rare side effect. Some people get hallucinations and they see heads and faces and stuff like that. So because she's aware of it now, she can actually like... it kind of goes away because you start to realize that you're not being haunted by demons, that it's actually like...
So it's mental, right?
Well, not even mental. It's like literally like your eyes are trying to adjust to the fact that you're not seeing things.
Sure.
So it said, if you have a particularly creative mind... Oh, God. You might suffer from these hallucinations.
Wow.
And so immediately I went, oh, God.
It's me. I'm going to see floating football-shaped heads with buck teeth.
What? I was like, okay, Jamie, he said it was rare. Like very rare.
Yeah,
but it happens. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess
chances of seeing floating heads are rare. Not zero.
Not zero. So I'm like, all right, this is something to prepare for. Another thing that I have to prepare for as I age and die.
Did me taking my glasses off make you think of this story just now?
No, I had a note.
Okay,
there was a note because that segues into the next thing.
Well, because just so you know, I took my glasses off because I need you to be blurry because you're cute and distracting.
Oh my God. Are you trying to make up for the fact you want to be in charge of our spouses podcast?
No.
You're just trying to be nice.
No.
You're like, I have to be nice.
I'm staring at you and my glasses are too clear. I need you to be blurry.
Okay. If I die, you should do that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Fair.
Anyway, I honestly do not remember what triggered the conversation that you and I were having, but I think it was because I was listening to this podcast and you and I chat from our offices.
And we do.
A lot. And so I'm like, hey, I'm like, I just want you to know that if I go blind, you can make fun of me.
Right.
I don't even remember how
that had to be it.
Maybe I just said it.
You did, out of the blue, while I was on a call.
I can always tell when you go, what? Because you stop talking for a minute. You're all, tap, tap, tap.
Well, plus you have a really loud typewriter. I was like, I can tell when you're chatting me.
You're like, oh God,
because
it's long.
Because it's the speed of the typing and the sound of it is not something when you're emailing somebody or something like it's like.
It's usually furious.
Yeah.
Furiously typing. But anyway, I'm like, I just want you to know if I go blind, you can make fun of me. And you're like, I would never do that.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, you can. It's fine. It'll be hilarious.
I did say one thing I would do though.
Be naked all the time. Yeah. I don't want that. You're like, well,
how would you know?
As if you wouldn't try to touch me nude. And then you said, well, if I'm blind, you can do it too. And I'm like, no, this is how we learn.
Naked people together.
That's disgusting. That's gross.
Wait,
no one wants that.
Blind and naked?
No. We're going to have a nurse or our children. Oh, no, we can't be nude. It won't be happening. I'm sorry.
Well, if it ever happens that we're blind and needing a nurse or children, then we can't be empty nexters anymore.
Honestly, the fact that you still wear clothes when it's just the two of us is a blessing.
Aw.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, I'm just glad you don't. I know that if you got used to that, because I know there are some men who work in their underwear. I'm sure. I've seen the Zoom outtakes of people.
I mean, I think most of this, they're probably late for a call or something, so they just throw on a shirt or something like that.
Remember them in the early days, pandemic, and the early days where people got just a bit too comfortable because they didn't think people could see. And there's a lot of masturbating and underwear.
There was none of that. Where while
sitting
people
on the
work
toilet.
calls?
Yeah, sitting on the toilet because they have their laptop and they're thinking, oh, no one can see. They can just, no, they can.
Sure.
Like that one, there was a local journalist here, actually. I think, did she get fired for it? I can't remember. Her husband was showering.
In the background, right?
She was at her vanity because it had like perfect lighting for
but
being on TV.
You could see the mirror or something.
Yeah, because she didn't shut the door. And so he's literally washing his dick while she's trying to talk about the weather or some dying child. Like, who knows? But it was something. And they're like, that happened all the time because people just didn't have, like, they didn't figure it out.
Sure.
Now it's not like that, of course. No. But I was like, yeah.
There are still people that, like I have people I work with that the only place they can be in their office is they don't have an office, so they're in their bedroom. Sure. So two things happen. One, the bed's made all the time.
Thank God. I was going to say.
Which probably isn't the case where they're not in there. And two, it's just weird seeing people's bedrooms and pillows and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to see that on a Teams
Why don't
call.
they just go to their kitchen? Like,
why
don't they go into like another
Well, I
room?
think kids, like during the summer, it gets a little funky because if they're home, then you're screwed. You got to go somewhere dark. I've seen people in closets.
I would do that. I don't know what I would do because I tried to think about if I had to do Zoom calls from home and I was taking care of, like, when our kids, we had 4 at one point.
Yeah.
They were so feral. I don't know how I could have done it.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
It would have been tough. I
even
figured
if
out,
and they were afraid of me, and they were still feral. Like, it would have been hard to do.
Because of my role, I was working from home even before the pandemic, so it was a little easier. But even with that, so we were already used to it, right? But even with that, about a year or so ago, when the rumblings of back to the office started happening, and I don't really have an office to go to, but that wasn't the point. I don't want people even thinking that I would go back because it's too far. And I don't know if I ever. You know this, but I don't know if I ever said this on your show. All the radio stations have these iHeartRadio Music Festival performance concert photos. They're all over. Every station in the country has got them all over the office. Well, once the station locally was remodeling, and so they gave me one. So I had one sitting in my closet, and I was like, if I hang that behind me,
they'll think you're working.
They'll think I'm at the office.
Did it work?
Yeah, it still works to this day.
Great.
It still works.
Lucky. I love it.
I mean, the only weird thing is that none of the offices have textured walls, and you can kind of see that's different than an office. But anyway, it works. It avoids a lot of questions. So
yeah. So blindness, you can make fun of me, and I also decided that if I lose a limb, you can make fun of me.
It's not going to happen.
We got to keep it light.
Yeah.
We got to keep it light.
Yes,
so if I'm limbless, it's fine.
That is my stroke arm.
Exactly. You know what? And I think if some time passed, I would also allow that. I would allow making fun of me if I had a stroke face. That would be fine. It would be good.
I feel like that's not going to happen, but
would you let me make fun of you?
No, I'm fragile. I am what they call fragile. So
so it's Italian.
So I'm Italian. I'm an insecure Italian.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where my head is today, as far as what's going through my little pea brain is illness and blindness. Oh yeah, you can't make fun of me if I'm deaf. I've already decided that's not fair.
You won't know.
Well, I can read lips, and so that's going to be a thing. So, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Why have we been binge watching so much stuff lately? Have you noticed?
Well, I mean,
like so much.
Yes, part of it is that everybody does this, is that you avoid all the political, and so you kind of get used to it. So and it's almost impossible to get away from on live TV. So it's true. You got to watch sports or binge watch stuff. So
yeah, so we've been binge watching, but you know what? You're right. That's exactly what it is.
So
I have loved what we've binge watched. The Diplomat. I talked about it on social media a little bit, but the Diplomat on Netflix season 1 and 2. I mean, it is so. It's like aces. It's one of the best shows. And I didn't do the research before the show, but it feels like it's written by the people that did The West Wing.
Sure.
Is it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, it feels like
it's got
it is.
that. It doesn't.
I think what made me
here's why it doesn't. Here's why I shouldn't say that. I could be totally wrong. I have zero idea. However, here's why I think it's not. Is because West Wing and Gilmore Girls were written very similarly.
Very quick talk.
They're like boom, boom, boom. Everybody's got the perfect response immediately with no thought whatsoever. This does not seem to be that. This seems a little more casual, a little more, you know.
I think
it didn't make those shows bad. I love The West Wing, for example.
God,
Gilmore Girls is a fucking trash heap. I hate that show. But
you know what's interesting about Gilmore Girls? Did you actually watch any of Gilmore Girls?
I've probably seen about 10, 12 episodes.
Okay, well, I've watched all of it.
Yeah.
Because it was geared towards someone like me when it came out. I liked it. There was nothing like it. And I love Amy Heckerling. She did Clueless.
I know.
Okay. So anyway.
But Amy Heckerling didn't write the script in the show.
Okay. Whatever.
That was the problem.
My point is that going back and watching episodes now, it is so surprising how much you realize how jerky they were and how her parents were actually really great.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
What was the other one I saw?
Like literally, maybe not even 10 years. No, you're like, oh my God, the Gilmores were actually good people, and Lorelai's a little brat.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing was like that.
You're right.
Like everybody thought, oh man, the dad's so mean and blah blah blah. And then later, when you're older and you're a parent, she was like, she was 16.
Johnny was 30 years old. God, baby was 18. No parent would allow it.
Exactly.
Like no parent would allow it. So now, that's like, great. It's so funny how much has changed since then.
Yeah.
Like and rapidly.
Oh, for sure.
Rapidly, but there are still
in the grand scheme of things, pretty fast.
Like when I think of the teenage stuff that I liked, like, you know, Footloose, it still tracks.
Yeah.
Parents were jerks. He's just trying to live his best life and dance. He just wanted to dance. For God's sake. And they're like, no, someone died. It's like, okay.
All right.
Yeah, ridic. Anyway, so Agatha All Along, we did that. Great. Amazing.
Fantastic. Probably a top 3 in terms
Loki,
of Marvel
right?
series. Yeah.
I thought so too. I think the series have far outshined the Marvel thing that's going on right now. It's so bloated.
I mean,
I'm so like over it.
Well, the thing is that they don't really exist without the movies and the comic books, obviously. But I'm glad that the series are great. Like I thought, I actually really enjoyed WandaVision too. So it was nice for Agatha All Along.
Agreed.
It was great.
And then we're starting to watch The Penguin, and I'm with you. It's slow.
Yeah.
But people keep saying, oh no, you have to. I'm like, all right, fine.
I know why. I think I know why it's slow though.
Why?
We have literally picked shows for how long the episodes are.
Well, because you just have to be in the mind frame. Like, do I want to stay here for an hour?
Right. Exactly. Like if something's 25 to 40 minutes, like you can get with that, right?
And I have noticed that the more hoity-toity directors and writers are going, it has to be an hour.
No.
Everything has to be an hour. And I'm like, ugh, like, okay, fine. But that means I'm going to take forever to watch the show. And then it spoils, you know, a week later. Right. Like, oh, the last episode came out. Wasn't that amazing when this thing happened and Batman showed up or what? He doesn't, by the way. I'm just saying.
Oh, did you look?
No.
Oh.
Why did you?
No.
Oh. I'm like, are we spoiling it for each other?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Anyway, so yeah, it's been great.
But the whole thing isn't even out yet, is it?
Tonight's the last episode.
Okay, got it. So
we have 8 weeks apparently. That's a lot. I'm like,
I don't know, man.
I don't know how to, and Stranger Things is coming in. I'm like, why is that still happening? Isn't that over? Aren't they like 20 years old now? Can we just not with that? Like, God, I'm over it. I think it's really it. Is that they beat everything to death now? It doesn't even matter.
You could knock out 2 or 3 episodes, no problem, when something's under 40 minutes. But when something's an hour, you literally I don't want to get into it.
I feel like this is.
You can't really binge watch. I mean, unless there's a storm or a pandemic, right. You know, you're not gonna binge watch a 12-episode season of an hour-long show.
I watched The Perfect Couple for the most part with Nicole Kidman.
I saw the last few with you.
You did, and those were an hour too.
Yeah.
Some of them were a little less than an hour, and honestly, everybody's like, "Oh my God, it was so good." And I'm like, "Really? I didn't think it was that good. It was fine."
I think your idea for the twist was better than what actually happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was. Say your idea. What? Wait, which one?
The Perfect Couple.
The pregnant one?
Where? No. The whole concept was this feels like a book.
And I think that's unfortunately a testament to the writing, which is kind of unfortunate. Or maybe that was the point. I haven't done any deep dives on The Perfect Couple, but 2 episodes to go, and I said, you know what? I feel like we're watching her write the book. Like this is all playing out, and the last episode will be her submitting it to her writer.
Right.
Like none of these people exist.
None of it actually happened.
Like this is like,
I actually think that would have been better. It
would have been such a good book. That would have been such a good ending.
Yeah, because it was playing because I think
everybody was 2-dimensional.
Yeah.
All the and it was very soap opera-y.
I think the second show I watched, I was like, this is feeling really Days of Our Lives.
Same, and I was like, why is this? But then I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe this is the book.
Then that's why I watched the last few episodes with you, because I wanted to see if that happened, and it didn't.
It did not.
Although it did kind of, because it wasn't. I mean, all the people were real, and then it wasn't the story. But spoiler alert: the book that she shares at the end is about the girl.
You.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was not good, but
I don't know why people thought it was amazing, but whatevs.
Yeah.
And finally, I binge watched the entire season of English Teacher from FX, which was, I thought, very good.
I thought it was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be another AP Bio Abbott Elementary, which are both great, but that's what I thought it was going to be. So
yeah,
it was not.
It was not.
It was not those things.
It is definitely not for children.
It is
the language and the sex alone is definitely not for kids. The conversations are very adult, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I love that they didn't give a crap about it. They're like, look, this isn't for kids. Don't freaking give it to them. Don't let them watch it. It's about adults.
Do you think I loved it. Not the more sexual or all that other kind of stuff, but I found the parts where they were teaching the kids and having conversations with high schoolers really interesting. I did too. I kind of hope it's like that.
I think it is like that.
I think it's like that.
I think they're very.
It's like, what the hell is wrong? Like they're saying, like they're talking like.
Entitled's not the word, but they're very empowered because they're young adults, and so they're just like.
But the teachers, the way the teachers talk to them, though, was like not quite adult. Like they draw a line at a point.
They treat them with respect. Well, they're not
but they talk to them like humans. They cussed a little bit. They did those things. That shit. Well, I went to a Catholic high school, so not a good example. But that's because
they were your priests were drunk.
That would have never happened back in like. Did you have teachers like cuss at you and talk like that to you?
Oh well,
like all the time, like almost like you're having a friend to friend conversation, which is what that felt like.
We did not have any. That there was a couple that were like that, but they were not. They were not the norm. I had an algebra teacher who was incredibly angry all the time, and he used to. People would laugh at him a little bit.
Teachers.
People would kind of laugh, not in his face, but they would kind of like try to trigger him a little bit, and so he would put kids in like the broom closet for the entire period.
What?
Yeah, and then he would like throw chairs and books and stuff.
Not at people though.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely unhinged. He ended up retiring, but he was like 100.
Yeah.
I don't know why he worked so long, honestly, but people kind of didn't take him seriously. I didn't like it. I was in his class. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I like literally said, I want to transfer. I don't want to be in this class. Put me in the dumb group. I do not want to be in this class. I didn't find it funny to trigger him, and I didn't want him triggering me. He never, I think one time I asked him and he's like, yes. And I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, never mind. I'm out. Not doing it. But, then I had a drunk teacher once.
Yeah, you told me that story.
Oh, man, he was hammered.
Yeah.
He was hammered. And he sent the whole class to the office.
Didn't you call your mom?
I did. I'm like, Mom, I go there, my whatever. I can't remember I think it was math, shockingly. And I said, my math teacher's drunk, and he sent the whole class to the office. She's like, what? I go, yeah. And she's like, I'll be right there. That was when she was very young and crazy and wild. Wow. And she came, and she and Mr. Rubin, our principal, went to the classroom, and Mr. Rubin had a baseball bat because this gentleman was large. He was a very tall, big man, and he was very, very drunk.
He had to try very hard to
get
drunk.
He had a large bottle of whiskey in his desk. Ooh. He got fired immediately, obviously. But I'm like, well, what do you think I don't know why she did it. Frankly, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, I'll just come and get you. We'll just deal with it. But
I'd have been like, man, you really want to get out of math, don't you?
Times have changed. Times have changed. Like I was telling somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, I go, nobody, like I would be stuck at school till like 4:00. Like no one came and picked me up. Like, they'd be like, oh, I have to borrow a freaking quarter because we had payphones back then because God forbid the school wouldn't allow you to use the phone.
Of course not.
Why do they do that? Probably because there'd be like 100 kids going, hey, can I use the phone? So I call them like, hey, is someone coming to get me? They're like, it was your dad's turn to come and get you. And I'm like, okay, well, I only have one quarter. So can you call? She's like, oh, fine. So then my dad would send some grease monkey to come and get me.
From the shop.
Hey, I'm here to get you. I'm like, oh, God, fine. And then I have to get him like, don't talk to me. Like, hey, so how's it going? How have you been? No, high school, huh? And I'm like, shut up. You didn't even graduate from high school.
Yeah.
Hate you. But yes, that was my life as a Gen Xer. I don't think I was a rare person. I don't think it was rare.
Oh, to circle that back, actually, good music in the English teacher too. Gen X music.
Oh, yeah, it was all Gen X music. My English teacher?
No, not your English teacher.
I liked every single one of my English teachers, but yes, it is true. It was amazing. The soundtrack is very, very good.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, with that being said, I think we're done.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, and we will be back with a new show soon. Bye.
Bye.
I'm not going to talk.